Have you ever wondered why two people can start with the same resources, the same education, and even the same opportunities, yet one ends up wealthy and fulfilled while the other struggles for years? The answer is not in what they did, but in what they believed. I remember the moment I decided to change my life, not with action, but with thought. I was sitting in a room, alone, with not a single dollar in my pocket. But I closed my eyes and planted something no one could take from me. A millionaire seed mindset. I imagined what it felt like to already have wealth, not as a dream, but as my reality. The world outside still looked the same, but within me, something irreversible had begun. If you want to become a millionaire mentally, you must begin with the unseen. You must learn to plant wealth in the mind before it ever arrives in the bank. There is no other path. Every fortune begins in the soil of assumption. When you dare to claim abundance before you can prove it, when you dare to live as though you are already rich, then and only then will the world align. Your outer wealth will never exceed your inner self-concept. You can try to act rich, hustle, chase, but unless you think like a millionaire, unless you believe it at the core, the seed remains unplanted. The millionaire mind programming does not begin with action. It begins with inner conviction. To assume wealth consciousness is not to pretend, but to accept as truth what is yet to be seen. You must feel the joy of abundance before it arrives. That feeling is the seed. Let it root. Let it breathe. Do not beg for riches. Assume you are already rich. The more natural that assumption feels, the faster the world bends to it. The secret lies not in effort, but in alignment. The inner world creates outer wealth effortlessly. Every dollar in your life is a reflection of your belief about money. If you see it as scarce, it will run from you. But if you feel it as plentiful and friendly, it will chase you. What you feel inside, you call outside. Your imagination is the soil. The seed of riches must be planted there. Visualize it, not once, but repeatedly. See your life with money, not hoping, but knowing. The subconscious does not care if it is true by facts. It only responds to what you impress upon it. So impress wealth deeply, joyfully, daily. Money is an effect. Financial abundance through mind is the cause. If you change the cause, the effect must follow. Thoughts of fear, guilt, or poverty must be uprooted. There is no room in the rich garden of the mind for weeds of doubt. Speak to yourself daily as one who has more than enough. That tone changes everything. There is a wealth creation method, but it is not external. It is this. Live in the assumption of the wish fulfilled. Don't look for signs. Be the sign. Dress, speak, walk, and think in harmony with the wealth you've mentally claimed. The world responds to identity, shift it, and circumstances must obey. The subconscious mind and money are partners. It attracts not what you want, but what you believe. If you believe that having money is wrong, hard, or unlikely, you repel it. But if you trust in the naturalness of abundance, the subconscious becomes your loyal servant, drawing money in unseen ways. Hold a mental blueprint for prosperity like an architect holds plans for a building. Don't just wish, build. See the lifestyle, feel the gratitude, hear the congratulations. Let every cell vibrate with your imagined reality. This is not fantasy. It is the act of conscious creation. Vibrational alignment with riches is not a one-time ritual. It is a lifestyle. It is the daily practice of choosing the wealthy version of you, not someday, now. Sit with your wealth. Dine with your wealth. Sleep in the feeling of wealth. For as you live within it mentally, it must form around you physically. There is only one way to experience wealth before it arrives, and that is to assume it is already yours. This is not wishful thinking. It is not hoping. It is not visualizing for a moment and then returning to lack. No, this is something far greater. It is living from the end where you already are who you desire to be. You do not ask for wealth. You do not chase wealth. You do not try to become wealthy. You become it now, in feeling, in thought, in identity. And the law of life, which reflects man's inner assumptions, must respond accordingly. The world you see around you is not independent of your inner state. It is molded and shaped by what you deeply assume to be true. This is why we speak not of effort, but of conviction. For if you assume something with full belief, your actions will conform to that belief automatically. But if you act from doubt or fear, even with the greatest force, the results will be fleeting or false. So the question becomes not, what should I do? But what am I accepting as real within me? If a man wishes to be rich, he must think from the place of already being rich. To assume wealth is to walk into a room and feel abundance in the air, to hear the sound of success in your voice, to carry yourself with the quiet assurance that you lack nothing. This is not arrogance. This is spiritual certainty. When you claim riches within your soul, the universe must echo that claim in form. You must remember that nothing changes on the outside until it is first changed on the inside. No man receives what he wants. He receives what he is. So if you feel poor in mind, spirit, or imagination, no amount of external work will ever produce lasting wealth. But the moment you begin to feel yourself as already possessing riches, even if no sign yet appears, the process of rearrangement begins. People, opportunities, and circumstances will subtly and sometimes dramatically begin to shift. Why? Because your assumption has altered your vibration, and your vibration draws the form that matches it. Do not say, I want to be wealthy. That is the language of separation. That is the admission that you are not yet what you desire. Instead, quietly affirm in the depth of your being, I am wealthy. I have more than enough. Everything I touch prospers. I walk in abundance, not for the purpose of convincing the world, but for convincing the self. For when the inner man is changed, the outer man must follow. Think of the seed planted in the soil. Once planted, it does not question how it will grow. It does not cry out for water every hour. It simply rests in the knowledge that growth is inevitable. So too with assumption. Once you assume that you are wealthy, rest in that feeling. Water it not with worry, but with gratitude. Give thanks for what is already yours in the unseen, and let the world take its time to mirror it. Do not concern yourself with how it will come. That is not your domain. The how belongs to the law of assumption itself. Your role is to feel it real, to accept the end as already accomplished, to walk each day as though your desire is complete. When doubt arises, return to the feeling of fulfillment. When fear whispers, silence it with gratitude. When the world tempts you to react to lack, respond with the confidence of one who already has more than enough. You are not asking a distant force to give you riches. You are awakening the riches that already exist within you. Wealth is not something you acquire. It is something you allow. An assumption is the doorway. You step through not by striving, but by believing. The one who assumes abundance walks differently, speaks differently, thinks differently, not because of pride, but because of alignment. If you continue to think of yourself as someone trying to become rich, you will always be becoming. But when you begin to see yourself as already rich, even while appearances deny it, you step into a new identity. This identity is creative. It is magnetic. It is generative. It draws to itself every resource, contact, and circumstance required for its expression. Everything in this world responds to consciousness. So if your consciousness says, I am wealthy, and you persist in that claim, all things must bend to fulfill it. And let this be clear, persistence is not effort. It is consistency in feeling. The inner tone must not waver. Whether you are eating bread or caviar, whether you are walking through dust or marble, the feeling must remain the same. I am wealthy. I am rich in soul, in substance, in reality. This is how you plant a millionaire seed in the mind. You bury it in feeling. You water it with faith. You protect it with assumption. And you trust in the unseen to yield the seen. To assume wealth is already yours is the first law in the journey of manifestation, and those who dare to assume are the ones who eventually possess. We live under the illusion that the world outside of us holds the power to define who we are and what we possess. But the truth, rarely grasped and often overlooked, is that your external world is nothing more than the projection of your internal state, what you hold within, your beliefs, your assumptions, your inner conversations, shapes and molds the visible world. Outer wealth is a shadow. The substance is within. The moment you rearrange your internal world, your outer conditions must shift to reflect it. That is law. That is certainty. The one who truly understands this principle does not concern himself with economic statistics, job markets, or inheritance. These are effects, not causes. He turns inward to the secret chamber of the mind, and there he constructs wealth, not with coins, but with consciousness. You are not rich because of your actions. You are rich because of your inner identity. A man who thinks from poverty may win the lottery, and within a short time he will lose it all, because the wealth was not planted within him. But one who possesses riches in his inner world will, even if stripped of all things, quickly remanifest prosperity, for it is rooted in him. We must understand that the inner world is not a passive reflection. It is active. It is generative. It is the cause of all appearances. Everything you see, own, touch, or experience is a mirror showing you what you believe to be true about yourself. And the mirror cannot lie. If you see lack, you must check the belief that allowed it. If you see stagnation, you must ask yourself where you've assumed impossibility. Do not fight the mirror. Do not scream at the reflection. Change the face that is being reflected. To change the outer world, you must first change the imaginal acts that run within you daily. These are the mental movies you play over and over again, the quiet daydreams, the whispered statements you make to yourself, the stories you rehearse in your mind about who you are and what you deserve. These acts are seeds, and no seed goes without harvest. You cannot imagine failure and reap success. You cannot feel lack and receive riches. But the moment you begin to imagine differently, to feel differently, to embody a new identity, the harvest must change. The inner world is not bound by time, it operates in the now. And so, when you feel yourself wealthy in this present moment, regardless of outer facts, the inner world begins its mysterious work of rearranging all things to match that state. You may not see the change instantly, but rest assured, the wheels have turned. People will begin to speak to you differently. Ideas will rise in your mind you had never considered. Opportunities will present themselves in ways your logical mind could never have predicted. It is not magic. It is the outpicturing of what already exists in the unseen. Let your feelings guide you. If you walk through life feeling rich, not pretending, but truly feeling it, you align yourself with the pattern of wealth. This inner world is the blueprint. It is the architect's sketch. And no builder constructs a home without a plan. So why should life be any different? You must build inwardly before anything rises externally. Hold the image. Breathe into the feeling. Let your inner conversations confirm what you desire, not what you fear. Speak wealth to yourself. In the quiet of your mind, declare yourself rich. Say, I am abundant. I am financially free. I am supported by life. Do not wait for evidence to believe it. Let belief become the evidence. Let your internal world grow so strong, so real, that the external has no choice but to catch up. This is the only way true wealth is sustained. And remember this, your inner world is private. It is sacred. You owe no explanation to anyone for what you are imagining. Others may laugh. They may call you unrealistic, but ignore them. You are not living from their assumptions. You are living from your own. And yours are creative. Yours are powerful. Yours are already forming the world you will soon step into. Withdraw from the noise of the world and return to your inner world. In silence, craft the life you want. Do not do it once and forget. Do it persistently, consistently, naturally, as a habit. Let it be as common as breathing, as routine as walking. because the more you inhabit the inner state of wealth, the more naturally it reflects on the outer screen of life. The inner world creates outer wealth. And the most liberating truth of all is this: you have access to it now. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. You only need to turn inward and assume it real. From that place, all things are possible, and nothing can stop the one who knows that the kingdom of wealth begins within. Everything that now appears in your life was once invisible. Every condition, every possession, every person, every circumstance you encounter, each began its life as a seed in consciousness. Imagination is the soil of reality. It is not fantasy, nor is it idle play. It is the womb from which all form is born. And if you desire to live in wealth, you must begin by planting the seed of riches, not in your actions, not in the world, but in imagination. Imagination is more than mental image making. It is the creative act of assuming something into being. It is the sacred act of moving beyond the facts and claiming the feeling of a future fulfilled. You do not wait for wealth to give you the right to feel wealthy. You feel wealthy first, and then the world must express that feeling in form. If your outer world lacks abundance, it is because the seed has not been planted or has not been watered faithfully. Nothing grows where no image has been sown. Nothing appears where no inner reality exists. Begin now to see yourself living the life of your highest wealth, not wishing, not trying, but fully being in that scene. Feel your hands touch what wealth brings you. Hear the conversations of success. See the balance in your account, the homes, the choices, the generosity. Imagination must be sensory. It must have life. You cannot merely observe it like a movie. You must enter into it, live in it, dwell in it with the senses of your inner being. What you feel in imagination becomes a command to the universe, and that command must be obeyed. This is how the rich life begins, not with money, but with vision. The one who plants the image of abundance in the mind and returns to it daily will watch the world shape itself to match that vision, not because of chance or luck, but because the law is always at work. Your outer life is always catching up to your inner life. If you are faithful to the vision must become flesh. The image must take form. But imagination is not neutral. It responds to what you persistently dwell upon. If you plant a vision of fear, loss, or lack, the world will bloom accordingly. And so the responsibility lies with you. What are you imagining each day? What thoughts do you allow to grow within? What seeds have you sown in the soil of the mind? It is there, in the quiet moments of daydream and self-talk, that your future is born, and no one can plant for you. You alone carry the creative power. You must become the gardener of your mind. Each image is a seed. Each repetition is water. Each emotion is sunlight or shadow. Be vigilant. Choose the image of wealth and nurture it. Speak to it. Revisit it. Let it become familiar. Make the extraordinary ordinary. Let success be your normal thought, not your occasional fantasy. It is the ordinary inner feeling that becomes the extraordinary outer result. And you do not plant a seed once and forget it. You water it with repeated feeling. You tend it with belief. You protect it from the weeds of doubt and fear. When you wake, start with imagination. When you rest, return to imagination. Before you act, check your state. Are you moving from wealth or toward it? Are you acting as one who has or one who hopes? Imagination is not something you outgrow. It is something you grow into. The most powerful men and women of history all shared this trait, the ability to see and feel what was not yet visible, and then to act from it as though it were already true. To plant the seed of riches in imagination is to speak directly to the unseen forces of life. It is to bypass the logic of the five senses and say, I know what I see, but I also know what I am. And when those two are in contradiction, it is the inner vision that must take precedence. Do not let appearances shake you. Do not let temporary conditions uproot what you have planted. Stand firm. Feel it real, and know that the world will bend itself in time to match your internal certainty. If you can imagine yourself rich and truly feel that as your natural state, you are planting the seed of future abundance. The richness of the feeling determines the speed of the harvest. Some will say they tried to imagine and nothing happened, but the truth is they only played with the idea. They did not enter it. They did not persist. They did not water the seed with daily emotion. The mind requires more than a glimpse. It needs a dwelling place. Let your imagination become your sanctuary. Let it be the world you live in when the senses scream lack. In that world, all things are possible. All riches exist. All doors are open. And from that sacred space, you will summon the life you once thought was out of reach. The riches are already yours in spirit. Your task is to accept them in imagination, and the world will do the rest. The mistake most people make is believing that money is created outside of themselves. They look to the market, to a job, to other people, to external events, and hope those things will bring them financial abundance. But all outer events are only mirrors. The real source, the true origin of abundance is within. Wealth is not created from the outside in. It is created from the inside out. And that process begins in the mind. Your mind is the builder. It holds the blueprint of your financial life. Whatever you believe to be true about money, wealth, and your relationship to it is what will be built around you. You cannot escape this. You can earn more money and still feel poor. You can increase your income and still experience lack. Because the real issue is not the amount of money, but the mindset that shapes its flow. To build financial abundance through the mind is not merely to think positively about money. It is to take dominion over the inner conversations, images, and emotional reactions that shape your experience of life. Every time you speak of limitation, every time you expect financial difficulty, every time you replay memories of lack, you are reinforcing that state. You are building poverty mentally, and the house you build in the mind is the house you live in, no matter how many physical dollars you may gather. You must begin by identifying and uprooting every belief that says wealth is hard, that money is evil, that abundance is reserved for others. These are lies that have disguised themselves as facts. They are inherited beliefs passed down from generations of fear, and unless they are challenged and replaced, they will continue to reproduce the same cycle. Instead, choose the beliefs of freedom. Choose the assumptions of prosperity. Begin to speak in your mind as a wealthy person, not to impress others, but to impress your own subconscious. Begin to construct mental scenes where you are already living the life of abundance. Feel the weight of financial freedom in your body. Let it become real, not by logic, but by experience. The subconscious does not know the difference between real and imagined. It only accepts what is consistently and emotionally repeated. This is how financial abundance is built through the mind, not in thought alone, but in feeling and repetition. Every time you imagine money flowing to you freely, without strain, you are constructing the channels through which it will arrive. Every time you give thanks for the unseen wealth already present, you are watering the seed of abundance. Every time you refuse to panic when appearances suggest lack, you are strengthening your foundation. These are not small acts. These are the great acts of inner mastery. They are the invisible tools of the architect who builds fortune from the unseen. You must understand that the universe is neutral. It does not favor wealth or poverty. It responds only to vibration. And your vibration is your inner state. If your mind is saturated with the feeling of lack, the universe mirrors that. If your mind is saturated with the feeling of abundance, then doors open. People are drawn. Ideas flow. You cannot fake this. It must be genuine. It must be practical. The feeling must become familiar. One of the greatest shifts a person can make is to stop reacting to money and start responding from abundance. This is the inner turning point. When bills arrive, do not meet them with fear. Meet them with power. When you speak of your finances, do not complain or apologize. Speak with authority. Speak with gratitude. For every word you speak and every feeling you nurture is a brick in the structure you are building. Let your inner world become rich before the outer world responds. Build a mansion in the mind, decorate it with confidence, fill its rooms with peace. Invite joy to dwell there. and then walk through life as one who already possesses what they once only imagined. This is not delusion. This is alignment. The world is not fooled by performance, but it is reshaped by conviction. To build financial abundance through the mind is to live from the end, where all your needs are met and all your desires are fulfilled. It is to believe not just in riches, but in your divine right to possess them. It is to see yourself not as someone begging life for scraps, but as a partner in creation, declaring what is true and seeing it unfold. There will be times when outer appearances tempt you to forget this truth. There will be voices, even your own, that question whether this inner work really matters. But you must return to the source. You must return to the mind. For it is here that the story is written, and the one who controls the pen controls the future. Let others look for opportunity in the outer world. You will create it in silence. You will construct it in thought. You will speak it into form, and the world will call it luck. But you will know it was the mind all along. To look outward for wealth is to walk in circles. To seek methods from others before discovering the power within is to delay your fortune. True wealth creation begins with the awareness that you are not a passive participant in life, but the operant force behind what appears. You are the cause. And the method is not outside you, it is within. The world is not molding you, you are molding it by what you assume, what you feel, and what you accept as true in the silence of your own mind. This is the method. Live from the end. Not toward it, not hoping for it, not asking when it will arrive. Live from it now. You must step mentally into the version of yourself who already possesses wealth and live from that consciousness. This inner shift is not symbolic, it is literal. You cannot think like the poor and act like the rich. You cannot speak limitation and expect expansion. The inner man must change before the outer world rearranges. When you apply the wealth creation method from within, you do not wait for circumstances to give you permission to feel rich. You claim it now, without visible proof. And this claim, when felt consistently, begins to shape your decisions, your energy, and your environment. You are not waiting on money to feel secure. You are assuming the feeling of security now. You are not waiting for success to feel worthy. You are walking in worthiness now. This is the unseen cause behind every visible change. And those who understand this principle no longer live by reaction, but by creation. It is not enough to repeat words or rehearse affirmations without belief. Words without feeling are powerless. The key is inner acceptance. When you close your eyes and say, I am wealthy, does it resonate in your body? Do you feel it as real? Or do you resist it, doubt it, shrink from it? The wealth creation method is the consistent feeling of being the person you wish to become. This is not play acting. This is assuming identity before evidence. And identity always produces results. If you wish to be wealthy, you must first see yourself as a wealthy being in your imagination. You must observe how that version of you moves through the world, how they speak, how they spend, how they think, how they expect life to respond to them. You must embody that tone inwardly before it ever manifests outwardly. Imagination is the great rehearsal space of reality. If you cannot sustain the inner role, the outer world cannot perform it for you. To apply this method properly, you must break your addiction to outer facts. The senses will deceive you if you allow them to rule. You will look at your bank account or your paycheck or your job title and believe these are the limits of your wealth. But they are not your wealth. They are only shadows of your past assumptions. If you want new results, you must form new assumptions. And those assumptions must become your dwelling place. Each day you must return to the inner world and live your wealth there. You must sit in silence and rehearse not what is, but what you choose. Imagine yourself receiving the news you desire. Feel the weight of a full wallet. Hear the sound of opportunity calling. Smell the scent of freedom. Let every sense participate, for the subconscious accepts what is deeply felt and frequently revisited. That which you make real inside will find its way to your door outside. The world responds not to need, but to identity. If you think as one who lacks, speak as one who lacks, and expects more lack, no method will save you. But if you shift identity from one of scarcity to one of sufficiency, from one of fear to one of confidence, then the world bends. Resources appear, ideas arrive, people assist, events conspire, and it all begins from within. Do not be discouraged if at first the outer world remains unmoved. This is the testing ground. The outer world will try to tempt you back into the old self. You must persist. You must continue to feel the truth of your assumption even when nothing has changed. Because that is the work. That is the proving of faith. You are not being punished. You are being asked to remain loyal to your inner vision long enough for it to solidify into form. True wealth is not just the possession of money, but the unshakable feeling that life is abundant, that you are supported, that nothing is withheld. And this feeling can only be born within. Once it is established, the outer riches must follow. It is law. It is not optional. It is inevitable. Let others scramble for strategies. Let them chase the next big scheme. You will return within. You will sit with your wealth, live in your mansion, feel your freedom before it is seen. And because you do this faithfully, because you apply the method not once but daily, your world will change. Not by accident, but by reflection. The world you see is not shaped by conscious effort, but by subconscious acceptance. What you hold in the deeper layers of your being, beyond words, beyond logic, is what forms the quality of your life. If you desire to attract money, to live in the flow of financial abundance, you must understand this one eternal principle. The subconscious mind is the servant, and your assumption is the command. It does not argue. It does not question. It accepts the dominant feeling as law and moves all of creation to bring it into form. Your subconscious mind is like fertile soil. Whatever is planted in it, whether belief in lack or belief in wealth, must grow. It cannot say no to you. It only says yes to the idea you persist in entertaining. So if your inner dialogue constantly affirms that money is hard to earn, that success is for others, that prosperity is rare, then that is the seed. And even if you affirm abundance on the surface, the subconscious, which is deeper, will bear fruit according to its deeper impression. You may speak well but feel poor. And it is the feeling, not the speaking, that determines what you receive. Money is not a force outside of you. It is a reflection of your inner state. And your subconscious, when properly directed, will bring money to you in natural, even effortless ways. You may be led to a conversation, to an opportunity, to an idea, to a shift in perception. And suddenly wealth begins to move, not because you chased it, but because you aligned with it. You were allowing something to respond. The subconscious mind responds to repetition and emotion. It does not respond to empty declarations. It must be impressed. And the way to impress it is through the persistent assumption of the feeling of wealth. You must feel what it's like to already possess the abundance you desire, not as a fantasy, but as a living emotional state. Close your eyes and dwell in the atmosphere of wealth. Let your senses participate. What does wealth feel like in your body? What conversations do you have? What kind of choices do you make? What do you expect each day when you rise? As you repeat this inner state, with consistency and conviction, the subconscious accepts it. And from that acceptance, manifestation begins. But beware of returning to the old feelings of fear, anxiety, and insufficiency. Those two are impressions, and they are just as powerful. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot declare abundance in the morning and live in fear all afternoon. The subconscious listens always. So guard your inner tone. When you catch yourself speaking lack, interrupt it. When fear arises, do not fight it. Replace it. Gently but firmly return to the atmosphere of wealth. This is the discipline required. Not outer action, but inner vigilance. Many believe that money is attracted by work alone, but the truth is, two people can do the same work and receive vastly different results. Why? Because one is aligned inwardly and the other is divided. One feels worthy, the other doubts. One expects increase, the other hopes for survival. It is not the work, it is the worker's state of consciousness that determines the return. To use the subconscious mind to attract money, you must first believe that money responds to consciousness. It is not neutral, it is not random. It flows where it is welcomed. And you welcome it by becoming the type of person who feels natural in its presence. Do you feel uncomfortable imagining large sums of money? Do you shrink from the idea of lavish abundance? These reactions are clues. They reveal the internal boundaries that must be expanded. And once they are expanded in imagination, reality will adjust. You can use sleep to your advantage. Just before drifting off, when the conscious mind is quiet and the subconscious is open, fill that space with the feeling of being financially free. See yourself already in possession of what you desire, not as a wish, but as a completed event. Fall asleep as though everything you desire is already yours. This is one of the most powerful times to impress the subconscious. In that sacred twilight, you are reprogramming your entire life. Do not wait for money to feel rich. That is the great mistake. Feel rich now. Train your body to carry the energy of wealth. Train your imagination to dwell in abundance. Train your speech to reflect your faith. And the subconscious, which never sleeps, will take those inner movements and organize the outer world to match. Events will be arranged. People will be moved. Opportunities will seem to appear from nowhere, but they came from somewhere. They came from you. You are not at the mercy of economic trends or societal conditions. You are at the mercy of your own assumptions. And the most powerful assumption you can make is that money comes to you easily, naturally, and frequently because you are aligned with it in mind and spirit. The subconscious will take that feeling and make it flesh. Not because you force it, but because you dare to feel it true. There is a secret that few truly understand. Everything you see in your world is the product of an invisible blueprint. Just as an architect sketches the full plan of a building before a single brick is laid, so must you create your life inwardly before it manifests outwardly. This blueprint is formed in the mind, sculpted by imagination, and sustained by feeling. And if you seek prosperity, you must first visualize prosperity, not as a vague wish, but as a precise, living structure that you dwell in mentally until it becomes physical. The blueprint of prosperity begins with clarity. You must know what wealth feels like, what it looks like, how it sounds, how it moves. Most people do not fail because they lack action. They fail because their inner image is either blank, scattered, or contradictory. You cannot hold a vision of wealth for 10 minutes in the morning, then entertain images of struggle, scarcity, and fear throughout the day and expect abundance to come. The mind does not build from mixed signals, it builds from consistency. To visualize the blueprint of prosperity, you must first quiet the senses and withdraw from the external world. Close your eyes and create the scene that represents your wealth fulfilled. Imagine not from the outside looking in, but from within the experience itself. You must be in it. You must hear the voices congratulating you. You must feel the weight of financial freedom. Let every detail matter. If it's a home, walk through it. If it's freedom, sense it in your breath. If it's giving generously, feel the joy of contribution. Your inner world must become more vivid, more meaningful than your current surroundings. That is how the seed is planted. And once the image is planted, you must return to it daily, repeatedly, not to change it, but to water it with emotion. The more you feel it as real, the deeper it takes root. The subconscious accepts this repeated emotionalized image as fact, and then life begins to bend to fit the pattern. It is not a question of whether this will work. It always works. The only question is, what are you visualizing? What are you blueprinting within? Because whatever it is, that is what you are building, even if unconsciously. You must become the spiritual architect of your financial life. Take the time to see things clearly. Sit with the vision until it becomes natural. It is not the size of the vision that matters, but the clarity and consistency of your attention to it. You may begin with a small scene, receiving unexpected income, hearing words of praise, seeing your financial account expand. But if you persist, that scene will unfold in time. The key is to feel it natural, to let it become your new normal in imagination, even if nothing has changed in appearance. Do not expect instant results, but do expect inevitable results. That which you hold within with faith and emotion must crystallize. The Lord does not delay without reason. Sometimes the delay is not delay, it is gestation. You would not plant a seed and expect a tree overnight, but you would expect the tree and you would know that its roots are forming even when nothing breaks the surface. So it is with imagination. The blueprint is formed before the structure rises. You are not wasting time when you visualize. You are drawing lines, laying foundations, setting dimensions in the unseen. Make it a habit to return to your inner vision, especially when the outer world appears to contradict it. When your senses suggest struggle, that is the moment to step back into your prosperity. Not to fight the appearance, but to reaffirm the blueprint. Your feelings are the construction workers of your reality. When they are aligned with your vision, progress is inevitable. But if you allow fear, doubt, and worry to dominate your inner state, then you are building from confusion, and confusion cannot produce harmony. See yourself as the one who already has. Think from the end, not of it. That is the shift. Most people imagine what they want from a place of distance, but you must move into the state where it has already happened. Walk through your inner scene with joy and expectancy. Fall asleep in that scene. Wake up in that scene. Carry it with you as your quiet secret. Let it be the silent pattern by which your world is shaped. The outer world will always echo the inner pattern. It may take time. It may come through unexpected channels, but it must come. The law cannot fail. If your inner vision is one of prosperity, held with faith and repeated with feeling, it will draw all things to itself: opportunity, connections, resources, and events. It will make way where there seem to be none, because what you imagine is not fiction. It is the seed of future fact. Prosperity is not a pursuit. It is a position. It is a structure built first in the unseen. And if you truly want to dwell in prosperity, you must live in its blueprint now. Visualize it so clearly, so often, that you cannot be shaken from it. Let others speak of conditions and odds. You will speak only of the vision. And the vision, faithfully attended to, will become the world around you. There is a rhythm to all creation, and every human being is constantly vibrating at a specific frequency. This vibration is not metaphorical, it is real. It is the silent tone that announces to the universe who you are and what you are ready to receive. And wealth, like everything else in life, responds not to your words, not even to your work, but to your vibration. If you desire to experience riches, you must begin by aligning your vibration with them. Not once, not occasionally, but daily. You cannot dip in and out of wealth consciousness and expect consistent prosperity. The universe does not respond to moments. It responds to states. You may speak words of abundance, but if your dominant emotional tone is worry, frustration, or fear, then your vibration is out of harmony with riches. And the law is precise. It gives to each according to the feeling they persistently dwell in. This is why one can appear to do everything right on the outside and still struggle financially, because the inner tone is still echoing lack. To align your vibration with riches daily, you must make wealth your most familiar inner environment. You must return to it again and again, as one would return to a favorite room or a beloved song. Each day you choose the state you will occupy. Will you walk in the frequency of abundance or of limitation? Will you carry the mood of wealth or the mood of waiting? This choice is not made by outer actions. It is made in the silence of your soul. Begin each morning by entering the vibration of riches. Close your eyes and remember who you truly are. Not the reflection of your past, not the opinions of others, but the one who possesses the power to create all things through imagination and belief. Let your breath slow, let your body relax, and begin to feel as if everything you desire is already present, not coming, not arriving, but already here. This shift is not in language, it is in feeling. And once the feeling is stabilized, the vibration is set. Throughout the day, check in with yourself. not to judge but to realign. Ask, what am I vibrating right now? If you are moving through the world with tension, with doubt, with reaction, pause. Withdraw inwardly and return to the state of abundance. Picture yourself once more in the life you've claimed. Feel the ease, the joy, the confidence. Speak silently from the identity of one who has. This is not escape. It is creation. You are not denying the facts. You are transforming the foundation from which the facts arise. Make this alignment a habit. Let it become as regular as eating or walking. Do not wait for trouble to return to wealth consciousness. Let it be your home, not your hiding place. The one who dwells in abundance inwardly cannot help but attract abundance outwardly. And the one who lives in doubt cannot avoid its reflection. It is not punishment, it is law. The mirror does not distort, it reveals. Many imagine that they must do something great, make some bold move, or receive some grand opportunity to become wealthy. But the greatest move you can make is to hold the vibration of wealth consistently, even in small, quiet moments. The world is drawn to certainty, and when your vibration is stable, when your emotional tone does not shift with circumstances, the world takes notice. Resources appear, relationships form. Doors open, not because you force them, but because your inner signal summoned them. Your vibration is shaped by your thoughts, your emotions, your focus, and your expectations. Guard these carefully. Feed your mind with ideas of abundance. Surround yourself with beauty. Speak words that affirm your identity. Refuse to indulge in conversations of fear or complaint. Every time you lower your vibration to meet the energy of worry, you delay your manifestation. But every time you raise it, by returning to joy, gratitude, and expectancy, you accelerate it. Let the feeling of riches become your atmosphere. Walk through the day with the posture of one who has already succeeded. Smile not to convince others, but to reflect your inner certainty. Listen to your thoughts as though they were radio frequencies. Tune out the static of lack and tune into the melody of wealth. This is not denial of current facts. It is the deliberate creation of new ones. And when the day ends, do not fall asleep in the vibration of stress or fatigue. Return once more to your chosen state. Rehearse the feelings of success. Drift into sleep with the mood of having arrived. For the subconscious does not rest. It accepts your final mood of the day as a command. And when that command is rich with wealth, peace, and fulfillment, your dreams will begin to mold your waking world. Vibration is not abstract. It is the substance of creation. And when you align yours with riches daily, when you live from the feeling of already being blessed, the world will yield to your inner tone. Not in chaos, but in perfect order. For all things respond to the one who has remembered their creative power and walks in it daily. Everything begins in the mind. This is the great secret. You do not rise by effort alone, nor by circumstance, nor by the opinions of others. You rise by assumption. The seed of the millionaire life does not grow in the world first. It grows inside, watered by imagination, nurtured by belief, and sustained by daily alignment with your highest state. You are not a product of your environment. Your environment is a product of your vibration. And when that vibration reflects the inner conviction that you already possess what you seek, life must obey. You began by learning to assume that wealth is already yours, not as a theory, but as a living truth. To think from the end rather than of the end, to become in feeling what you desire in form, and from that point, you discover that the inner world is the only creative world. What you feel consistently within will shape every outer condition regardless of present appearances. You then planted the seed of riches not through action, but through the sacred use of imagination, not hoping, not wishing, but entering the scene and dwelling there until it became your emotional home, because what you live in inwardly, the world must reflect outwardly. You began to understand that financial abundance is not earned by sweat alone, but built by the mind, brick by brick, belief by belief, scene by scene. You applied the method from within, not reacting to the world, but responding from the wealth already accepted in spirit, no longer chasing, but creating. no longer waiting, but commanding reality through internal conviction. You stepped into the version of yourself who had already received and acted from that identity daily. The subconscious mind became your silent partner. No longer a battleground of conflict and fear, it became a field of rich soil into which you planted the impressions of wealth. You realized that it accepts only what is deeply felt, not merely what is said. And by sleeping and waking in the state of the wish fulfilled, your life began to bend in unexpected but precise ways. You visualized prosperity as a blueprint, not an escape, but a structure. You saw the image, entered it, rehearsed it, felt it, and by doing so, you gave your mind the pattern by which to build. You began to trust the law of gestation, that everything must unfold from the inner into the outer, not instantly, but inevitably. And you learned that alignment is not an occasional event. It is a daily decision. Each day you tuned your vibration to the frequency of riches, carried the tone of abundance, and lived as one who already possessed the reality others are still reaching for. You stopped reacting to appearances and became the creator of them. You carried wealth in your energy, and the world had no choice but to reflect it. This is the way. This is the true inheritance. The seed has been planted, and now you must guard it, water it, live in its fruit before it grows. For what you believe about yourself is what you receive. The millionaire life is not ahead of you. It is within you, waiting to be claimed, waiting to be lived, waiting to be assumed.